I was recording for the radio show, the Getting Jazzy, and so he was coming to meet me, and he had all his equipment. He like, look, I brought you an apple and a pear. I know how you eat. I was, thank you so much. Thank you so
But
much.
here's the thing, sis. We're gonna have to get more in sync because last week it was me, girl.
was
When
you.
I tell you, if my stomach could have jumped out my body, it'd have hopped out of me and started flipping stuff over. Like I'm sick of this. I'm out of here.
Flip
It
the
was that
table.
bad. Girl, I was so hungry, and then I was thinking like, it's so loud. I hope people didn't hear that like on the mic. That's why I kept asking, could you hear that? Could you hear? Because I need to know. Okay, if my mic was working, you probably would have heard it. But because my mic ain't working and I'm just doing the computer mic, you probably couldn't hear it. But when I tell you last week, I was like,
Stomach was upset.
look, beyond angry. Okay.
Feed me, Seymour.
If it could file a grievance, honey, it would have filed a grievance.
It would put papers in on you, sis. Not
straight
the
up
papers.
all papers, because
Not the papers.
my stomach was super loud. Super loud last week. I was like, oh my God. So sorry, I got the overlag. But we are officially live. We're gonna give people a minute to hop on in here. We showed up a little CPT today, a little bit late because we
just a dab.
Just a tad. You know,
tech issues be something else.
It be something else. And you know, I personally feel like when it comes to tardiness, we should at least have like a 15 to 20-minute grace period. That's how I feel.
That's how you feel?
Okay. That's how I feel. Like if it's like an event, but I guess no. Virtual shouldn't be that big of a deal, but we're gonna give folks a moment to hop on into
virtually though, even in Zoom meetings and stuff like that, they give people a good 5 to 10 because they know life, be happening.
And they know these computer systems don't always want to cooperate. They be on something else in the other. So it's totally fair. I had to put on my eyes today, y'all, because a girl
join me, sis. Welcome.
Ooh, sis, these eyes. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting old. I'm like, my eyes. So I have.
If we going off eyesight, I've been old.
Here's why I say I'm getting old though. I have eye fatigue. And so I don't know if people are familiar with what eye fatigue is. So I'm naturally farsighted. So I already see better further away than I do up close. But my eyes, when I'm tired and I don't get enough sleep, they don't refocus right. So if I'm looking at something far away and then have to look at it close up, it's like, it's the worst. And I go like crossing. I can't refocus.
Cannot compute.
I cannot do it. And so the glasses just kind of help with all of that. But girl, I'm like, everything just started going crazy. I don't know if it was because I decided to give birth. Because it seemed like things started going downhill once you started, once I started having children. That's how I really feel. But it feels
blame it on the babies.
I'm trying to tell you that's how I feel. I said what I said.
You said what you said.
I'm ready to have this conversation though, sis. Did you get a chance to check out the show?
No. I ain't called Nan show.
What time? Here's the thing.
But I do want to watch it.
You still should watch it.
I am going to watch it.
Here's the funny part. So I announced the show topic last week and was like, let's talk about this because it was very powerful for me to watch it. Then the very next day, I started seeing all of this chatter about Jada Pinkett Smith. And I was
like, you talking about with her saying her and Will had to work on their intimacy?
Girl,
first of all, I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead, I'm gonna let you finish.
Because I'm like really bothered now. I didn't have time this week, even though I ain't had no time to kind of go back and forth about this because first and foremost, they completely mistook her words and just lied on the poor lady. Just completely lied on her.
I always want to come for Jada because she working on her higher self. Leave her alone.
Girl,
leave her and Will alone.
First
of all, they put the receipts on the post that I saw because I was seeing it, but I'm like, what are they talking about this time? I kept scrolling. But one time they posted it and then they posted, on Instagram, you slide over, they had the video there. The video. So I'm like, they like Jada out here make Will look crazy again or something like that. And I'm like, okay, let me click it. It's there. Let me look and see what's going on. She was having a real conversation talking about they had to work on intimacy and how she can't expect him to know what to do because that's the truth. You gotta build and communicate. And I'm like, what's the problem here, people?
Hold on. So I had announced the show topic last week, and then the very next day. So now this is last Thursday. I'm seeing this post about her out here talking crazy about Will, and on Red Table Talk again. So I watched Red Table Talk and I was like, I'm supposed to get an alert when it show up. Like, why I didn't get a new alert for this show? So I literally had to go and find the Red Table Talk show that they were talking about, and then I learned that they had Gwyneth Paltrow on there, who is part of Sex, Love, and Goop. So I was like, oh, word! Like,
is that what they was talking about? The show?
Yes. Okay. So I was like, oh, word! I just said we should watch this and talk about this show.
Did you troll people on the internet?
I'm getting there. I did. I went off. I was on.
Did you invite them to this show so they can come be a part of the conversation with their foolishness?
Listen, I did not, honestly, because I was so bothered by.
I was also bothered.
The lack of comprehension when it came to this. It was just so like I literally was irritated, and not even so much about people having opinions, but that they literally took her words and twisted them all the way around. They lied on her. They straight lied. And she said the truth. And
which is the truth for most people's relationship, if not everybody's relationship. Because we all need to communicate how we feel and what we want. Because they're not in our brains or in our bodies.
People that are close to me know that I am very passionate about sex. And when I say that I'm passionate about it, that includes like intimacy and all of that stuff. Absolutely. I really feel like there is a huge, huge disconnect with it. And that because we don't use it properly is causing all of these issues. Like when I tell you that if I could be anything else, it would probably be a sex therapist. I would be a sex therapist.
What was that white lady named Dr. Ruth?
Right.
I used to watch Dr.
Ruth. So I'm already super passionate about this. So anytime I come across anything that kind of raises conversations, which is how I came to watch Sex Life and how and why I liked the show so much, because I felt like it brought up topics that we don't discuss from that area. Although I didn't have the type of conversation I wanted to have centered around that show, I do feel like some of the things and themes that came up in that show are super important. So anytime I get an opportunity to watch something that covers sex and intimacy, I'm very, very interested, because I feel like there's a huge lack of connection, understanding, communication about sex and intimacy, right? So I go and find the Red Table Talk, and I'm like, oh, it's Gwyneth Paltrow. She's talking about Sex, Love, and Goop, and this is an amazing show. So I was excited to watch it. And so I'm watching it, and they were having a very healthy conversation. They were talking about things where it was like, oh my God, I'm so glad they said it. And they were all things that I wanted to discuss tonight. So I was like, oh, this is so good. Like, I'm so glad this conversation is happening.
So we're going to have to share this to the Facebook group.
We're gonna have to because
and if y'all are in the Facebook group, go like and be a friend and join whatever you need to do. The Facebook group. Oh, we're gonna talk.
Yes, viewers. Oh, we gonna talk viewers. If you are not already a member of Oh, we gonna talk viewers, please go ahead and join Oh, we gonna talk viewers. I had created a survey and initially intended to like distribute that survey in the group and have people answer it. I just didn't get around to it. It's been a crazy week. But I really think that it's super important that we talk more about the things that were brought up on that show, and then how there are things that still were left unsaid, that all kind of, breaks down this communication and widens the gap with us having healthy intimacy and a healthy understanding of sexuality, because we don't have a healthy sexuality understanding, and we all need to get on like a better accord about that. So I was like super, super happy that they were having this conversation. I had almost forgot that they had said this lady was on here dragging Will. And then when I finished watching the
Because
red,
she was not.
but she was not. I was like, oh, they totally misconstrued what she said. So I was trying to
Lost
be
they doggone man. But you know what? It wasn't that they misconstrued what she said. What it is, and I'm sorry if you one of these people, but I'm gonna be safe about it so it don't reflect on, oh, we gonna talk. These are not the opinions of, oh, we gonna talk with Sante.
These are not the views
These are
of
not
Sante
yeah.
Hard Taste and
This,
the Oh We Gonna Talk team.
this is wholeheartedly Natalie Matthews. Okay? Wholeheartedly me. I'm gonna take all this heat if y'all come for me.
Because I got a lot to say. So go ahead.
These people did not misconstrue her words. What they did was show. This is what they did. They showed all of their trauma. They showed all of their ignorance. They showed all of the lack of knowledge, all of the lack of higher self, all of the thinking capacity.
I'm gonna add to it. They also showed how their egos are hurt, because most of what I was seeing was people trying to defend Will Smith as if y'all don't. First off,
she didn't ask for your help.
He didn't, but she didn't drag him first and foremost. Secondly,
he ain't sent for
Secondly, how do y'all know that this man is feeling some sort of way about what she said? He could have been in total agreement with what she said. And I felt like all of the things that were being said were subjective, emotional responses to a situation that they are objective to.
Exactly. All they did was show their hurt. That's all they did. And they showed the lack of thinking capacity. Because the thing, like, where did y'all find this information from what she said? I literally didn't even finish watching because I heard the first sentence. It was like they tripping and just moved on with my life. Because I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? It's they literally showed their ignorance. Because if you were at a higher understanding enough to comprehend what this woman was saying, and it wasn't groundbreaking information and big words that she was using, it's just she's comfortable and knowledgeable enough in herself, her person, and her relationship with her partner. Can y'all please stay out their business? With her partner, to say we had to come to a communication point, because she was knowledgeable enough with herself to say, I had to check my trauma and my issue, which was that I was assuming or hoping, wishing, and praying that he would just magically know what I wanted and read my mind. But she had to think about it. That's actually a good thing. I don't know why they was mad. That's a good thing for her to be like, it was my bad. It was my fault. Because a man or a woman is going to magically know what to do.
Accountability. She acknowledged where she has made mistakes in the downfall or the failure in having intimacy in their relationship. Absolutely. And here's the thing that really struck me. As someone that talks to very many women, if these women were actually expressing how they felt very openly and candidly about intimacy with their partners, I wonder what would happen with some of these marriages or some of these relationships, because she was expressing something in a very mild-mannered way. It's the transparency, but I've heard worse. I've literally heard worse. I've heard worse.
No, her transparency is a good thing, and we all need to get some of that transparency to fix the relationship. Because I guarantee the people who was out here trying to drag her,
look, I said that earlier.
Take a nice hard look at their relationship. I
that means you that earlier on a comment. I said it's a whole lot of people out here throwing stones in glass houses or watching and commenting on the house burning across the street when theirs is ablaze and
on fire.
People just really
theirs ain't even that no more. It's ash.
It's like I'm really frustrated, and I think that we really need to understand that. Really, what a huge issue is. And one of the things that was talked about very briefly on that very show was how it is not allowable for women to have certain platforms to talk about certain things. When it comes to women talking about anything with sexuality, it's very much shamed. You're not supposed to be doing that. It's not ladylike. And so anytime that a woman comes out and says anything about certain things, or if she's celebrating her sexuality, she's in tune with it, she's knowledgeable about it, she's free spirited with it, and she's transparent about it, she gets be made out to be uncouth. She's wayward. She's got an issue. She's a hoe. She's all of these things. And I feel like the real problem is that society for so long has not made it okay for women to have those certain conversations and for them to be expressive about that. And it's oppressive and it's not okay. And I'm glad that these conversations are being had, because one of the things that she was saying was that growing up, she did not have a conversation with her mom about anything sexual. It was like, very basic. Like, it's, you're not gonna like it. Like, once you do it, you ain't gonna enjoy it. It's not gonna be good. And so Jada had admitted that she had all of these ill understandings and feelings about intercourse before she ever even had it, because her mom had already painted this picture for her.
And baby, they healing some generational traumas over there in that household.
Look, that's a generational trauma that most of us have, and we don't talk about it. So even with talking to my daughter, I've told her, I said, my talk with my mom about sex was, hey, yeah, I can't watch you. I got to work a job. You gonna start growing and having urges for stuff. Don't bring no baby home. You bring a baby home, it's your baby, and I want you to know that. Like, there ain't no babies coming here. That was my talk. It wasn't anything else. It wasn't about
this is what's right. This is what's
about my
body.
This
is what's safe.
This is what's safe. This is what your body is made of. This is for that. This is for this. It was, be careful. Don't get pregnant. Use protection. And that was pretty much it. Like, that was pretty much it. So it doesn't stop the curiosity from happening with your kids and teens. They're still
going to be, bodies are going through all types of stuff.
Well,
and the thing is, like, we have to remember that, like, we were once there. And no matter what your parents said to you, it was going to stop you from doing nothing either. But when you want them to be fully educated and prepared to go out into that world to make an educated decision whenever they decide to do whatever they're going to decide to do, because it's their decision.
At the end of the day. But I think we only paint intercourse and intimacy when it comes to having that talk in a very unsafe and unhealthy way, because yes, you don't necessarily want your children out experimenting before their time. There are a lot of things and responsibilities that come with having sex and having intimacy with someone, because intimacy isn't just intercourse. Intimacy is a lot of things. You want to give them a very clear understanding that it's supposed to be healthy for you and it's actually a good thing. But I feel like when it comes to how we talk about it to our generations, like after us, is like all of this negativity. It's never like the beauty in it, or why it's so important that you do know yourself and you do understand the responsibilities that come with it. It's just, there's a whole lot that comes with it, and we mostly hone in on either pregnancy or preventing STDs, but we don't talk about the emotional attachments that come with it, the spiritual transfer of energy that happens when you do it. We don't talk about how
that can darn near linger longer than a baby.
Listen, about how when you having it in a healthy manner, it's actually healing and healthy for you, and it keeps you connected with your mate. We don't talk about it from that perspective, so it's no wonder that when you become an adult, you don't know how to have it properly with your mate. Like, it's all of this weirdness in between.
It's all just about the preventative and the no STDs and the babies. But the thing is like, when you really dive deep into like tantra and like the understanding of like the positions and the spiritual connections and all of that and the energy involved in it. Okay, look, unks. I love unks. I got it tattooed on my arm, got necklaces, got jewelry. Unks. I love unks, right? It's the ancient Egyptian symbol for life, if those of you who did not know, right? Real quick, history lesson. Just real quick. So the top part here, across here, and the little circle part here in the arms there represent the woman, okay? Fallopian tubes and wombs and all of that. And this bottom part going into that part represents the man, okay? All right, that is literally intercourse. Like this symbol here, it's literally intercourse. But also, um, looking into it and doing some research, they would use the during sex to actually the energy, because sexual energy at the peak actually is known as like the heightened, the most highest energy there is. So they would use unks to actually that energy back around and keep it inside of them. That's a lot of spiritual science stuff happening there in that one little brief description I just gave y'all. But outside of that, that should just let you know how powerful the energy shared between two people can be. Can we just say this one thing, and then I'm a yield my statement about unks. And okay, right? Woman, man, baby. Can we just say that? If we really want to think about how powerful intercourse can be, it creates life. The end. The end. A whole person.
A whole person.
Can we stop looking at that like that's light? Like that's just something slight? That's a whole human being. It's the whole person.
With a soul.
Breathing, thinking, life that's gonna have more life, that's gonna lineages. You like two people coming together, a man and a woman creates that. That's huge. We got to stop looking at it like it's everyday. That's huge. And that should tell you how powerful intimacy and intercourse can be. And that's only one component of it. And so when we also are talking about not having kids or not getting pregnant with our young people, that also really makes it seem like kids are a bad thing. And though you should be fully prepared to have kids when you have kids. And when is that ever a thing? But what we're missing the blessing that children are. And instead of just being like, don't you bring no baby or don't you get pregnant, it's like, okay, when you have sex, A plus B equals C. Okay.
And having a baby is the worst possibility or the worst outcome, even if it comes before you're prepared. I would prefer not either of my children, the same as my mother and my father prefer for me not to have it before I was mentally at least and financially prepared to bear the responsibility that comes with it. But it is not the absolute worst thing that can happen.
It's not.
When you have intercourse, there's a lot of other things that happens that has far greater of a debilitating factor on people outside of having a baby. And that's the trauma from it, from having it with the wrong people, exchanging the wrong energies, etc.
AIDS, other STDs, right? All of them
are different.
But I beg to differ. If we
go ahead,
if we were to teach, so to say, our children, because we're their first teachers, just throwing that out there, because that seems to be a foreign concept also. But if we were to teach children sex ed seriously, but not only sex ed in the household, telling them what it really is. Because if we don't tell them, they're going to go find a flick or talk to Ray Nam or Keisha up the street and get the wrong information or a skewed perspective of it. So if we be 100 with our kids and really break down to them what it is and what it means and what the purpose is for, I feel, just my opinion again, that it would shift the amount of just, I would say loose pregnancies. Because sometimes it's just saying, I didn't talk to men and they got like 9 kids with 7 different baby mamas. And I'd be like, how? What? You ain't learned the first 5 times? What? Like, loose pregnancies out here. It would deter that, because if we are teaching them from an early age and they go up with a mindset of, ooh, sex not bad, but sex is this and it's meant for this and this is consequences of this. Just like you teach anything else, then they're going to not be afraid of it. They're going to know, because we should be also teaching them when situations is right and when it's not, that it's not owed to anybody, that, because if we're not teaching them at all, then they fall into traps like that. where somebody, oh, this is what you're supposed to do.
The
No, it's not.
pressure. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All types of pressures and stuff. So if we truly educate them and let them know what it is and what it's for, I feel like it would cut down on a lot of, I'm gonna call it loose pregnancies again, and STDs and everything else, because they would go into it with the mindset of this is what this is for. I only do this when it means this to me, or whatever that situation may cause for. And it would stop all the foolishness, or at least cut down on most of this foolishness that's going on out here. And what it will also do is allow people the mental capacity to understand, going back to the Jada Pinkett and Will Smith conversation, that they are supposed to communicate with their mate, because that needs to also be a part of the
That
conversation.
part.
Not only about
Right.
their needs sexually and physically, because everybody's needs are different. Some people are snugglers, some people ain't. Some people like physical touch, some people don't. Some people like it rough, some people like it gentle. All of the different instances that come along with intimacy that you have to talk it out with. We should be teaching our children this so that they are fully prepared when they go out into the world. I know it's scary and we might not want to talk to our
But
kids
so
about it
that
because we don't
they're
want to do
able
it.
to communicate and have healthy boundaries about intercourse and intimacy as adults. Because we want to prepare them for everything else, right? We try and tell them what to expect, what things are going to happen to them when they got to navigate the world, whether it's what type of systemic things are going to be an issue or whatever. But when it comes to this thing, we don't talk to them about it appropriately. There's a way to do that where you're not feeling like you're given a green light for them to just be out here doing God knows what or with whomever. You don't have to necessarily do it in that respect, but you should be having healthy conversations about boundaries and asking for what you need, or telling people if you're uncomfortable with something, being able to say no to something without feeling guilty to do that, to be able to express where your boundaries lie when it comes to intercourse, because maybe you're not comfortable with doing this thing, but you're comfortable with doing that thing. And if you're going to have a healthy relationship, whether it's a lifelong partner or a marriage, it is super important, because while we talk about finances being an issue, intimacy is also a cure, like a quick
If
killer
that ain't number
to
one,
marriage.
that's number two.
It's definitely, I find it to be both. Like they
Because
neck and neck.
because the thing is too with that, quiet as it's kept, but it ain't that quiet. That's the root of a lot of people's marriages issues. Like when you think, well, especially when you look at older couples,
Mm-hmm.
stuff was different back then. We weren't having these type of open conversations, especially not women. But men ain't having these conversations for real either.
Hold on,
And
though, since they also weren't having those conversations because it wasn't okay or allowable for a
right,
woman to even need it. Like we've been taught that you get
we
this,
are their property. We just
that
lay
we're
there and
their
let them do what
property.
they
We're
need.
doing it for them. It's a chore. It's a chore. And so a lot of women go into it thinking like it's a chore. It's something that I have to do. Like I gotta try to remember to drop it low. Like that's supposed to be part of your healing too, sis. Like it's supposed to feel good for you. It's supposed to feel connections to your mate. If it's not doing it, there's something very wrong. Like it's not okay for you
And
to
you
just
got to
be trying to please your
reevaluate.
man. It's very hyper focused on your husband, keeping your husband satisfied, keeping your man satisfied so he
But is
doesn't
he
go out and
keeping
do
you
whatever.
satisfied?
That's the whole point. Women have never been taught that they should be satisfied, that they
Right.
should feel good when they're having intercourse, that it's supposed to be something that they're both exchanging pleasure, and that you should have needs and it's okay for you to ask for those needs. And
And going
so,
back to your original point too, when women do own their sexuality, they get treated like the plague. Like, but also the same
look,
thing is
girl.
they get talked about and all this other stuff, but it's like, but who sleep with them?
Hmm.
I was literally thinking about this. I think it was like end of last week, earlier this week, somewhere in there. Well, I think I was washing dishes or something, and it just came across my mind. I was just like, that's really jacked up. Like, it's really jacked up because men can do whatever they want to do sexually and get high fives. But a woman, okay, I was thinking about it this way. So if a woman is owning her sexuality safely and owning her body safely, and a man does the exact same thing, it's not a problem for him, but it's a problem for her. But a man can sleep with multiple women and not be considered a prostitute, right? But that woman can't sleep with multiple men and not be considered a prostitute. But who is these men sleeping with? That means a man can sleep with whomever they want, but that woman can only sleep with that one man. Does that make sense? Or did I confuse you?
I feel where you're going with it, and it's the double standard.
I wish I had the dry erase board for the mathematical equation.
You can make a diagram on it.
Basically,
but I get what you're saying, and I think that honestly played a huge role in how this whole conversation that she had snowballed into what it is now. Like how it grew legs from one headline because it was already the image that she had been with somebody else and hurt Will Smith. So now Will had
Did
got
he ever say he was hurt?
You know what? And I got into a big old debate with my brother about this because he's like, "Did you see that man? He had tears in his eyes." I said, because he was embarrassed. Because I bet your bottom dollar that was not news to him, that situation. But now everybody knew about it. And for me, if you watch Red Table Talk frequently, Will Smith was on there one day saying how a big part of when their marriage has gone through the ebb and flows was that on his side, the issue was him trying to force his image of success and what he wanted on his family and not recognizing that didn't align with their needs and what they wanted. Mm-hmm. And how that was based on his trauma of feeling like he needed to meet a certain image to be successful, and how it nearly tore his family apart. And so I feel like hearing everything that they've been transparent about, and I love that they've been transparent. This isn't to say or to defend and say that what Jada did was right, but we also know in those Red Table Talks that Will all but admitted that he was out here doing dirt too, and that he wasn't always doing what he was supposed to do. And so my point is that
I honestly feel like, because at one point it was like a whole thing, but years ago where everybody was trying to say they were swingers or trying to figure out if they were.
All of that.
And it's like, if they are, if they not, get out their business.
But here's the thing: if they did, so what? Like, here's the thing: so what? If that's what they did, if that's what they
are happy, successful, and raising an amazing family,
and whatever they choose to do in their bedroom isn't the standard for what all marriages have to do. Marriages are very much tailor suits. They are meant to fit you, custom made, and people wearing it. That's it. Y'all the people wearing it. That's it. And if you don't agree with how or what someone else does in their marriage, it's not the standard for what you have to do in yours. You make your rules for your marriage. Some things you'll come across in talking to people, you'll be like, I want to try that and see if that works. And some things will and some things won't. And you need to kind of take things with a grain of salt, like eat the meat, throw out the bun, and keep it moving. Because
throw out the meat.
Or throw out the meat. Facts. But
whatever, see, it's custom. It's custom made. It's whatever works.
You already know how I roll. So it's like whatever you need, whatever you feel like fits your needs. But I just think that I feel sad that people aren't allowing this level of transparency to be as beautiful as it actually is, that people want to tear apart the transparency because we talk and scream about how important it is for us to know certain things and not hide certain things. And if I had known this, I would have done this different, or I wish I had this information. And then you have somebody that's literally saying, learn from our mistakes. This is what we went through. This isn't right. And they get judged for it. I'm like, this is the type of transparency we need. And it just shows
we desperately need, and as a community, like as a whole
community. And it's just evident to me how many women walking around here feeling oppressed and burning up on the inside because they can't speak up for what they need, and men too, because it's a lot of men that's being silent for what they need too. It is truly not just a female male thing.
It's not. And then somebody in the comments, Emmanuel, said that he agrees and he doesn't agree. Emmanuel, if you could drop down in the comments where you at, let us know how you feel about it. And then I also have some comments over here on my end too. But to that point, that brings me to where I started, but I don't think I ever finished. And I said, when you look at the older couples where they
Mhm.
couldn't express themselves, women or men wasn't really talking about this subject in general, especially not in public forums, but women really couldn't, where men had the option. When we look at our grandparents or our great grandparents, right? If we are so lucky to still have them around, or when they were around, or even just older couples you see in life in passing. One thing that I noticed is that a lot of times they stay together, honey. They stay together to the end, baby, but they do not be happy.
Be
It be
miserable.
it's older couples in their 60s or
Mhm.
whatever right now, which ain't that old. I'm gonna be honest, okay?
Don't like each other.
They can't still. They sleep in different rooms, but they still married. They
Oh,
still in the
hold on.
same house.
That was the standard. I don't think I know any people's grandparents, not my grandparents, any grandparents that didn't either have separate beds or separate rooms. Like they weren't even in the same space,
My
cohabitating in
grandma
the
and
same
granddaddy
room.
had the same room,
Okay, well then shoot, I love it. I
but see,
love
they
it.
loved each other.
Fact.
Okay, I saw that. I was young when my granddad died, but I saw that they loved each other, and I heard the stories. Okay, that's a story for a different day about my granddad. But I love my boom pies, what I called him. Okay, now the thing is, but that's not the case for most.
It's
Even if
not.
they still married to this day, and a lot of it, even with people that's not old, your friends probably. The main conversation once they step away from their family, or why they ain't going home, or why they staying out a little late at the bar when they wife at the crib, is, oh man, she just, it's either she nagged, or he ain't got none, and how long, or she ain't. That's communication right there.
It's a ton of sexless marriages out here. It's
And
a
I guarantee she feeling the same way.
mm, there's a ton of sexless marriages. I think it, and if you actually started communicating, if couples actually were able to be vulnerable and then be open and make a safe environment for talking about these things in these nature, like things will get so much better. But I know for a fact,
But
just when
intimacy,
you
going
talking,
back to intimacy, communication is like the highest form of intimacy.
it's the highest form, but knowing safety has to be there first. Like if you're
Mhm.
not safe with your mate, there's no
You
way you're
shouldn't be
going to have
married.
any kind of real intimacy. There's going to always be a guard up. There's going to always be something, a barrier in between you all having proper intimacy or communication, period. If you don't feel safe, we bite our tongues about things that we feel like we're not going to be received properly about, or I may hurt this person's feelings. Sometimes it's about I don't want to hurt this person's feelings that I care about. So I'm just not going to say nothing. All the while, y'all are getting further and further apart. No one's
Mhm.
touching nobody. No one's enjoying
Mhm.
each other. You got people, feeling in a vulnerable space, so they're looking to step out or find a need met someplace else. And that's a real thing. And that's not to say now that you force people to cheat on you, because cheating is a
That's
choice.
that
And I'm
person's
not saying that
decision.
at all.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you can make somebody do something by not giving them something. That person has to choose to do that. But if you're not talking to your mate about what you need, what your needs are, or if you're not making yourself accessible to your mate so that they can talk about what their needs are, that's going to be a problem. And back to Red Table Talk and what Natalie was bringing up is that is exactly what Jada was saying, was that I made the ill mistake of expecting for my mate to know what I needed in the moment instead of me communicating. Like I figured, oh, we've been together for so long, so he should just know what I need. And that's wrong. That's improper. You can't expect for your mate to know what it is that you need. You have to open your mouth. Back to a closed mouth don't get fed. You absolutely need to show or express, hey, I need this, or I don't like that, or I don't get enough of this. And then you need to, as the other mate, be receptive, be open to listen, to understand, not to respond, at least not to respond in that way, but maybe to correct behavior. But I feel like it's super important
But that's
that
the same thing we tell our kids.
facts.
We tell our kids the same thing. I don't know what you want until you tell me. I don't know, blah, 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 blah. But we don't do it. And it's because it's scary. To be 100% honest, the reason why we don't is because it's terrifying. To tell somebody that you care about that they doing something wrong, or to tell somebody that you care about that you want them to do something differently, or that you need something that they're not giving you. That's scary because you care about them, you don't want to hurt their feelings, and you're afraid how they're going to take it. So I get it.
Hold on, because I'm seeing Emmanuel saying that who initiates most divorces, that'll indicate whom has the least amount of effort in communicating. That is false.
I don't know.
And that is very, very, very false. Sometimes people that initiate the divorce is because they have been communicating and that
And they
other
let them
person
change it
is
or
not being
receptive
able
to it.
to adhere what's being communicated and make the change, or they're not
Absolutely.
communicating. So I'm not sure where you're getting this information, but it's not always like that. It's not what a lot of people think, that most people are just like, yeah, I'm just going to jump out of it and get divorced. That happens with some people. Yes, it's been a lot easier to do it now in these times than before, but it's not an indicator that that person didn't want to communicate or had the least amount of effort. It's not like that at all. Most of the times it's that last resort after they've said something several times and they've tried. Sometimes people are open more now to going to marital counseling, and there's still a
Mhm.
disconnect and it's not working because it takes two people to make
Yeah.
something work. And so if both
And
people
I
are
can
showing
speak
up,
to that. For example, I initiated my divorce and pushed for it because I was the one communicating. And I mean, at one point, I sent a typed out email with headers and bold spaces and bullet points. I'm like, these are the problem. This is what's going on. This is how we can solve said problems. These are the counseling sessions we can go to, like laying that thing out. Because me telling them wasn't working. So I'm like, maybe in this typed out, nicely formatted email, we can get something going. And I said, we can do this. I was trying to fight for it, but I can't fight alone. And I know there's so many other people that are going through the same thing or went through the same thing with their divorces. You are in a relationship, it's two people that should be putting in equal work. And if not at equal work, because we know sometimes it's going to be 60-40. We get that, but you can't be in it by yourself. And if you are expressing to your mate what's going on and what needs to shift, or what you guys collectively, not just pointing fingers, but collectively need to work on, and it's not happening, then you got to make your exit to find the place you need to be. Because in the last episode, we talked about forcing situations and relationships and places that you don't supposed to be in. If it's not going to work for you anymore, there's no need to force it. You got to take that hard step to leave.
and as someone that's I've been with my mate for a long ass time at this point. We're just though approaching the 10-year mark in April of marriage. But when there were times where we were just like, oh, this ain't gonna work, the only thing that pushed that away and that we're still standing here today as a couple was because two people showed up to the table to fix whatever it was that was broken. It
Mm-hmm.
is never up to one person to continuously be the sole person showing up to the table to make it work. It is going to always require two persons because two people took vows, right? And so you
Mm-hmm.
can't make that assumption that the person that's initiating the divorce is just giving up and throwing their hands up without effort. Sometimes they've given too much effort and the other person is not showing up with their effort. So I really, really, really want you to kind of shift your way of thinking about these things, especially if you haven't experienced like long-term relationships or marriage. Because like
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people feel some sort of way when you say, honey, you ain't there, so you can't give me advice. But it's so true. If you've never experienced what it's been like to be in a certain environment, then it's hard for you, or it's easiest to assume what takes place in said environment. If you don't have the experience, the real hands-on experience, you can never really know all the nuances in something until you do. So if I'm going to get a surgery, I'm not gonna want the fresh out of med school student to do my
We the
surgery versus
seasoned surgeon.
I'm gonna want the seasoned surgery surgeon,
Salt and pepper hair,
the
great
one
white snow hair.
that's got a few thousand surgeries under his belt because he knows his way around the kitchen a whole lot better. And so it's really hard for you to make those assumptions or make those comments if you haven't been in that situation, because the truth of the matter is a lot of times when that divorce factor comes, unless those people got married for the wrong reasons anyway, because sometimes people show up and do that for the wrong reasons. But when you have
Some
these
people get
long
married to. Oh
marriages,
Lord, I didn't know this was. Hold on, so I'm sorry, but
go
I didn't know this was a thing until I was grown.
what?
People literally get married to people that they know they ain't got no business getting married to, just to say they got married. I was like, people actually
It's
do
a real
this.
thing. It's a real thing.
I'm
I
like,
think I
people
think
actually do this.
they do it, and I think more so because there's a lot of romanticism around the wedding and happily ever after than the marriage. I think,
I would rather have a long-standing,
listen,
happy, cohesive, joyful Lord. Hold on, I'm just manifesting right now. Give me a second,
look,
child.
don't mess with, get it out there, get it out there.
Listen, Lord. Okay, listen, Lord. I would rather have that and no ring than to be with somebody I know good and doggone well is a mess, or that I don't need to be with just to say I'm married. I can't. I mean, I feel like you have to think about your mental, because if you're doing that, you're doing it for what it looks like. What it feel like though, like we have to get away from doing stuff and caring about what other people thinking. This is your life,
If it
life,
ain't
your spirit, your
cool,
mind, your heart, and you playing with it for somebody else's approval.
for
Hell
for
with
the
that.
theatrics in some of those cases. But Emmanuel, sweetheart, I really need you to understand that it is not an anomaly. That more times than not, if a divorce happens, is because there has been effort and that person is tired. So you are very much out of your area in this one. I always appreciate you coming with your comments. I always appreciate you giving your opinion. But I'm telling you, as someone who is a married woman now, okay,
And I
actually married,
know pretty much every woman that I know who's gotten a divorce was the one like, hey, this is the thing. Hey, can we please? Hey, 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 hey. And it just did not happen and they just could not stay. Pretty much every woman, darn, no, every woman, literally, every woman
I
that I
know some
know.
men that have done it too, that have just said,
Yeah.
okay, there's no
Oh,
changes
you know
being
what? I do know a couple men too,
there's been
actually.
men too. So
Yeah.
it's not just a man woman thing. There are people that get out of relationships once they've given it their all and they are not getting what is needed. So I'm here to tell you, as someone that talks to married people more times than not, because most of my circle is married and I've grown up around a lot of marriage. It's usually the person that has had enough and doesn't see the change that wants the out. It's not usually the person that has just been kind of sifting by anyway, because they're usually comfortable. They don't want to
But they gonna keep
let go.
sifting.
They're gonna keep
Right.
sifting. So they're usually comfortable. They want to keep sifting. They're not going to give up a good thing. So the ones that are really normally initiating the divorce is usually the person that has tried, has not seen the results, and they're tired.
I
And
mean,
when you
honestly, even if you look at media, when you look at the movies and all the TV shows and stuff like that, it's not people dipping because. And I'm not saying that that's 100% to life because it's a movie or a TV show, but most of the time in those situations, it's because they got to get out the gym because they didn't try it or folks crazy or whatever it is.
yeah,
That's
that,
the situation. I feel like, honestly, in my opinion, Emmanuel, that this situation that we're saying is the norm based on my market research of knowing people in my life journey. I haven't met anyone who's just left just cause they didn't feel like trying. It's because they've tried so much that they realize that this isn't where they needed to be anymore. And I think that's the brave part of it, because the person who's comfortable just gonna stay and be comfortable. But the
as long
bravery
as you allow
comes in saying, as long as you allow, people gonna do what you
it.
allow. The bravery comes in saying, I built a life with this person, or I've dedicated time to this person, or gave this person my heart, or had children with this person, whatever the situation may be. But I'm going to walk away from this because I'm unhappy and because I deserve more. And I think that is for me, and again, in my market research, that's the norm.
It is the norm. And it is also the norm that if a person is not willing to show up to do the work, that eventually is going to come to that anyway.
They
Because
gonna get
even,
fired. If
look,
you don't do your job at work, what's gonna happen?
you
You
get
gonna get
fired.
fired.
But even when we talking about this, the fact of having people sleep in separate rooms and stuff, that marriage is broken already. It's
They
broken. They
basically
just ain't
divorced.
got drawn up the papers, but they're separated.
Cause
They're not in
sometimes
it
they
together.
sleeping with other people, they date
They
other people,
doing
they just legally married and live in the
they
same
just
house.
legally married on paper to avoid the turmoil of whatever it would be in splitting things, or if there's children involved, disrupting their
Mm-hmm.
comfort zone, like all of that. So I need you to understand that for the most part, most and majority of people that actually get married do so with the expectation that they in it, that they gonna be in it with this person until death do you part. And so they
There
really
are
don't
some
want to have to. They don't. They
mothers.
don't want to have to do it. They don't want to have to walk away from everything. They will much rather stay in it. But you can only take that for so long. So I really need you to trust us on this one. It's
Look,
not defensive.
Angela in the comments,
Look,
she amen and
that's
she's
my
feeling
auntie
that.
Angie. She
Angie,
like
yo,
Auntie Angie like no, because
been
I
there, done that, wrote that book. Okay.
like, I know what I'm talking about. It's
She
the
wrote the book.
truth.
No,
It's
there's
the truth.
literally a young woman who wrote a book, Tanisha. It's a great book. I have it. And she just wrote a story about her journey. And it's so impactful because she was in it. Honey, she was in it. He was cheating, having all types of stuff going on. But she was like, this is my husband. I got 2 kids by this man. This is where I'm staying. He got crazy, crazy. She was still committed until she had enough. And it was also about her life of finding herself and realizing why she stayed as long as she stayed in that relationship, and then finding love and being able to accept it after that as well. So we might have to get Tanisha on the show. But shout out to you, Tanisha. The book is dope. I think it's called Life After Divorce,
Come
if I'm not
through.
mistaken.
Come
Um,
through. We
I
want
call
you
her. We
to
can
come
have her
through.
on the show. I'm a caller.
Listen,
But
come through.
yeah, it's
I know
hard.
it's hard. And that was to go back and shift back to this whole communication of intimacy and sexuality. That even is very hard to do, especially when you're not given the tools on how important it is or how to navigate that in the first place. And so the whole point that my girl Jada was trying to say was, listen, you have to make sure that you're talking to one another and you know what your partner needs are by sharing that with one another. And so what she was trying to get people to understand was how important it is for us to talk to each other and communicate what our needs are, because a closed mouth doesn't get fed. Like, you can't expect for your mate to automatically know what you need, automatically know what you want in that moment. You have to be comfortable enough to express it to each other so that the intimacy doesn't fall by the wayside, so that y'all still getting it in. And Poe, you know what, sweetheart? I'm like, Poe
Okay.
Emmanuel, he
We
just
gotta agree to disagree, and
look,
it's okay. It's all
look,
right.
no, but it's not about me qualifying my stance, my love. I'm telling you that this is a scope that you're out of. And that if you're not in that situation, or you have not been around people that are actively navigating that in marriage, you cannot say or assume that that person that is asking for the divorce or leaving a situation did the least effort. You can never know fully what goes on in a person's household or their
Until
marriage
you in it.
to make that assumption that usually the person that walks away is the one that's at fault because they're not communicating and they're not putting in the effort, is a very ill-informed train of thought. So
And
I'm
in our
hoping
opinion, it's the exact opposite of that.
it's not about opinion, baby. It's facts. And you have married people that are telling
So
you that.
I'm telling you, my market research is solid right
Listen,
now.
and I'm sure there are other married people on here that can attest for that. That usually, if someone is tired and they've reached their peak, is because they have tried, they have communicated, they have given chances, they have tried to navigate the ebb and flow of a marriage, and it just didn't work because it takes two people. And so I
You
really
can't
do
do it
think that
alone.
you're a
There's
forward
no way that
thinker,
you can.
but you really can't give an opinion about this until you have seen it for your own eyes or you are in it yourself. And I'm
Do a
telling you,
poll for me on Facebook. Get your
yeah,
market
I mean,
research
I'm
together.
gonna have to, yes, do it. If you feel like we don't know what we're talking about, feel free to ask and hit the pavement and ask those
Come
questions,
on, get those
because most of
numbers.
the time people that have had enough are the ones that are asking for the divorce because they realize the behavior isn't going to
It's not
change.
gonna
It's
change. And
not
if
going
it's
to
not gonna change, you cannot stay.
you cannot
At the
stay.
end of the day, we have to choose us. Like, and that goes into intimacy too. Because like equally yoked is a thing.
It's a
Equally yoked
thing.
is a thing. So like if I'm a super heightened sexual being, that's how I show love. It just energizes me. That's how I get through my life with my partner, my mate. I can't go marry an asexual who don't want sex.
You can't do it.
We not equally yoked. That don't
You
make
know,
sense. And so
not.
it's the same thing in these marriages. If it's not aligning and it don't make sense, then it can't make dollars. And I got to go. Okay. So
I can't with you today. But I just can't. I absolutely can't.
and I
But it's
mean,
facts though. It's facts.
we gotta understand what Jada said. What is important about what she said, regardless of if she was Jada Pinkett Smith, because I think that's what they really just worried about.
Oh,
And
they
they
no, they mad about all the stuff that happened between her and
beforehand, they mad.
they
So
mad.
beyond
Mhm,
that, if it was a
mhm,
regular woman or a man, either
mhm.
one, saying the exact same words that she said, there, regardless if it was her, man, somebody else, if it was Will, whomever it may be, there should not be a problem with that statement, with the statement that was made, because we all should be communicating on that
Hey,
type of level with our mates so that we can stay connected. Like we said,
sis,
communication and that safe space of communication is intimacy. And if you
I
can't
don't
talk
know
to
what
your mate,
Facebook
then
girl
what we
you be
doing?
on, but I see constantly those type of conversations. I see constantly men talking about, for example, when Cardi B WAP came out and she's like, I don't cook, I don't clean. The man went nuts. It was like, what do you mean you don't cook, you don't clean? Like that's the key staples of what a man looks for in a mate, and that's probably why he ended
But
up
she
being
got a mate.
her. But
Get
my
out her
point
business.
is, Jada said something very constructively, and people took it and ran with it.
Based on their
But
trauma.
all day we see constant deconstructive things being said about intimacy and sexuality and gender roles, etc., and why black women ain't being wifed and all of that stuff. Like we see like so much bad deconstructive opinions, and people are blowing this whole thing out of proportion of her trying to give constructive, wasn't even criticism on him, it was criticism
It was
on
criticism on her.
her,
Yeah.
and she was taking accountability for how, and what I heard in that as a wife was, hey sis, don't put that off on your man. If it's something that you need, if it's something that you
You
want,
need to
you
say
need to
it.
express that and you need to ask that. And it's someone that knows and believes that already, because it is super
And
important to
that's
me.
a real life problem that not only, like you said earlier, women have, but men have in articulating what they need. And it goes back to what I said before. That's out of fear. We're afraid of how somebody's going to react. We're afraid of losing our partner if we say something. But to be 100% honest, with all love there, if we need something that person cannot deliver and it's a non-negotiable, come on, we talking to sign tight. All right, and if it's a non-negotiable, then
Have
you
some type of
gotta go.
negotiation.
Then you gotta go because it's not
Mhm.
equally yoked. It's not aligned, and that's where you have those moments where you find out if it's real or not, if it's meant to be or not. When you fully express who you are, just like we said, everybody ain't for everybody. I'm not everybody's wife.
I'm not
You
everybody's cup of
darn
tea.
too. You darn tootin' I ain't everybody's wife, because everybody ain't my husband.
Look,
Okay? And that's what we need to know. So even if we really, really like someone, we can't not say how we feel or what we need or what we expect, of them in fear of losing them because we're gonna lose ourselves.
which is not good for any relationship.
Nobody.
If two people is supposed to be in a relationship, or if you are poly, then however many relationships that you have. But the point
Yes.
is that those people need to show up to it and present themselves. But I really think that one of the things that's super important that people don't realize is that if we don't start really having the conversation about how to communicate intimacy, even providing or helping navigate what that means to us, because my idea of intimacy may not be everybody else's idea of intimacy, but one thing it is definitely not is just not sex. Intimacy is a lot of things. It is
Speak on
talking.
it. Speak on it.
It is, as Mr. Tate said earlier, when I was like, man, what is your impression of intimacy? And he was like, hey, down to cuddling, on the couch, Netflix and chill, even,
I'm a cuddler, honey.
pillow
That is
talk,
my form of
so
intimacy. I
intimacy
am
is
a touchy feely
anything.
cuddler.
Listen, I like to flirt. To me, that's intimacy.
Oh,
I
baby,
love
go ahead.
flirting with my husband. Like I flirt
Yeah.
with him all day. I just,
That's how you keep it spicy,
listen, so
honey.
I'll be randomly sitting on the couch with him, and I'll be like, "Oh my god, hey, sexy, you come here often?" And he'd be like, "Every day." I'd be like, "Word." You want to leave with some company? So even that to me is intimacy, just joking, playing, role playing. All of that stuff is a part of
Talked about
intimacy.
that on the last show.
Listen, it is not just
Hey,
having
hey.
physical intercourse, and we need to start being very honest with ourselves about what intimacy looks like. We need to be able to express what that looks like to our mates so that we're getting our needs met and fulfilled. And it's not okay to just assume that they know. One of the things that I had to work on and go and twist that was like some days I want to be helicopter woman, and some days I just want to just like take your time. I'm feeling some sort of way. I had a rough day. Like I just need to feel special inside and out. Like just just hold me or whatever, and expecting for him to be able to read the room and know what my mood is for that day.
Because that's what most people do.
That's what most
If
people do.
most people come in and slam the door.
So if he don't
Sit
know,
there pouting.
if he didn't realize that in this moment, like, no, I didn't want to, just get it in and be done. Like, I really wanted you to, take your time. I need to be able to make sure I'm expressing that to him and not just expecting for him to know and just saying like, hey, I had a rough day and I just need to be loved. And then he know what that means. And what Jada was trying to say was that you need to be communicating that with your mate so that your needs are being met. Because if you're not having that conversation, you're going to end up being mad at each other. You're going to wind up, look up, it's a year. I've talked to people,
Resenting each other.
man, girl, I've talked to people and they've been like, yeah, girl, we did nothing in about 2 years. I'd be like,
And people keeping track. They got the number.
2 years? Like 2 years?
It's been about 17 months since we.
2 years? Like 2 years, sis? Like 2 years? Like, and then not only that, when y'all go and find your woman's drawer and she's got all like some goodies, which I feel like that shouldn't matter if it's happening. Like everyone should have a drawer, but that's just my opinion. But if she, you got some men to be jealous of that drawer because they're like, man, she don't want to give me none, but she got this whole drawer full of stuff. Well, maybe it's because you don't realize what her intimate needs are. And maybe you don't understand what she wants. And no, it's not all on you to understand that, but maybe you need to facilitate a different conversation.
Or
say,
what's triggering her to make you unattractive in that moment or turning her off or
so
turning
I
him
want
off.
to talk about that, sis, which was one of the things I wanted to cover. And it was one of the things I really wish I had got this survey out because I had this as a question on there. And one of the things that I feel like gets lost a lot in intimacy, based on what I hear now, is that a lot of women struggle with intimacy because not just does being with their mate feel like a chore, but that their mates are not recognizing that they need help and support in other ways. And so for them, trying to keep up everything is impossible. And so intimacy becomes the thing, the
Sure.
easiest to ditch. it becomes the easiest thing to kind of let go because they have to tend to kids, they got to tend to house, they got to tend to
Household
work,
self.
they got to tend to self, they got to tend to parents, they got to tend to all of these things. So it's like, I don't want to have to worry about your needs because you don't realize that I have needs that aren't centered around intercourse.
And by the end of the day, you
You
tired.
tired. You tired. And so I think that it would be important, and I'm hoping that we can have the sex therapist come back on for part 2 of this.
Hit her up right now. Don't you right now. Say less.
So that we could have someone kind of shed light on that, on really also communicating that there are things that need to be done, or there's certain other communications that need to happen so that the focus on intimacy can be brought to the forefront. I feel like a lot of women are exhausted. I feel like a lot of women are tired.
Yeah.
They are not being cared for in other aspects of life properly. And so sex
Speak
becomes a
on it.
bargaining tool, right? If he like, okay, well, if I'm not gonna get what I need, then you can't get no cookie then. You're not gonna get what you need. I mean, it's true, right?
It
It's
is.
true. Now don't say you don't know.
It's true.
It's true. He's
It's
like,
true.
okay,
It is.
I see
It
these
is.
dishes in the sink. Up, he ain't getting nothing tonight. It happens quite
He
often.
knew these dishes need to be
You know the
washed.
dishes in the sink. And so what I'm really hoping in bridging the gap in communicating about intimacy is that not only are we gaining a healthier understanding of what intimacy and sexuality does for us and what it means for us, and we're talking to our little ones as they grow older, or age appropriate now, age
It's
appropriate,
properly. Mm-hmm.
talking to them about it so that they're able to successfully navigate that in relationships as adults. But that the love is starting to be repaired between the men and the women because we don't like each other right now. Like I'm really realizing that the like is just like not there. It's so
Can I
it's
say something in that moment right there?
no,
This
no,
is
sis.
true.
We ain't gonna talk to you. Oh, we ain't gonna talk.
Oh, we ain't gonna talk. Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It is true that there is a disconnect happening between men and women, and conversation like these, based on people's healed level and elevation, can either further that divide or bring us together if we're really listening to each other. To be 100% honest. And my segment on this is I love y'all. Look at me and listen to me when I tell you I love y'all. Okay. Black men, you are essential. Okay. Black women, you are essential. Okay. And can I tell you something else? We need each other. Okay. Whether that be romantically or otherwise. In general, we need each other, and we have to get on one accord and be able to have these conversations at an elevated level where the trauma and the hurt don't get in the way, where we can hear each other for real, for what we're actually saying, and then reflect on the words that are being said so we can make shifts in our heart or in our mind based on our thinking where it fits for our life and the life we want to live. But period, point blank, I love y'all.
Say it
Sisters,
again.
I love you. Brothers, I love you. Okay. And we need each other. And we have to be able to have these conversations, which is intimacy, in this safe space, which is, oh, we gonna talk, to truly talk about what these problems are so that we can identify them, then solve them. Because if not, it's going to be a greater and greater divide. And we're going to keep passing that divide down to our children, which will make this an endless cycle, which we are trying to break here at Oh, We Gonna Talk. So we need to talk about it.
We breaking these curses because
I
I don't want my daughter to grow up being so disconnected from that she deserves to have intimacy in her world as an adult. I feel like for little girls, especially, and speaking from growing up and never having been told that it's okay to enjoy intimacy and sexuality. It's okay to enjoy touching and affection and all of those things. It's like more so now that's for his pleasure and make sure that he has what he needs. And the society tells you that, satisfy your man, make sure that he never hungry, horny, or wasn't hungry, horny, or too tired. Like make sure he got all his needs met. And I feel like as women, we are not told the same things. So what happens is we shame each other, we shame ourselves, and then we're just walking around unloved.
And when we shame each other, that's really hate. We hate. We hate
I
because
just
we ain't
love
that free.
like
We
I
hate that
just
we ain't that
love
free.
honesty.
Because
That's
my
what,
thing is, if it's something that I'm not wanting or choosing to do with my life, then that's my business. But if you doing it, I'm not gonna judge you unless hopefully what you doing, you do it safely. That's all that matters. And it's making
look.
you happy and you're freely choosing to do it, then live
That's
your best life
right.
if it ain't hurt nobody. But the hate come in when it's like, dang, she out here living her best life. She out here sexually satisfied. I'm stuck in the crib. This man don't even look at me. You hating. Don't be
Woo!
mad.
They
Don't
not
be mad at her because
crazy.
she living her best life. You can live
Or
yours too.
and some
It's
of that
your
just be
choice.
worried that if she out here living this best life, that she's gonna entice your person to come on over and live the life with her. And
She don't want your
I
man.
just like we just don't need it. Like seriously, as you said, so well put that just because that's your standard and you're doing that for your life, it doesn't mean that that's what I would choose to do. But I respect your right to choose what you want to do with
But
your
see that
body.
word right there, respect, I think is the key to all of this. Respect is the key to intimacy. Respect is the key to a unified and cohesive civilization. The respect to this conversation and all other conversations, I don't have to necessarily 100% agree with what you're saying, but I'm going to respect you in this space or whatever else enough to say, okay,
Right.
but this is how I feel. And we ain't got to get ugly or we ain't got to do nothing else. And it's the same thing with intimacy. If I respect you, period, as a mate, I'm not going to say certain things to you. I'm not going to do certain things to you. I'm not, because I respect you. I'm not going to
If
disrespect you.
I respect you, I'm going to care about what your needs are. I'm going to want to
Thank you.
know if your intimate needs are met. And I'm going to want to be the person that does that for you.
Because that should be a sense of pride, shouldn't it?
I want to, yeah, I want to be the one that is making sure your needs are met. And I think that, not my words. Shout out to Mr. Tate because, I bounce things off him before we have these conversations. And because we're two women up here talking about some of these topics, I always want to have a male perspective kind of like in the back of my mind and my ear so that I can hear beyond my own understanding of what I imagine these things to be, right? And so I asked him, you know, what are some of like the challenges you think people have and as men and having healthy intimacy? And he said like sometimes it's just really about selfishness and just
Mhm.
being very much more fixated on your needs and making sure your needs met that you honestly forget that your mate have
It's a
needs of
whole
their
person
own
right
and
here.
that you want to be the person to make those needs be met. And so
Because
sometimes
I'm going to be
when
honest, in my opinion,
go ahead, sis. Go ahead. What's your opinion?
what I'm doing, my thug thistle, you hear me talking to you?
I
There's
hear
a
you.
sense of joy. You know what I'm saying?
Listen.
There's a sense of pride. You feel me? There's a did that, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And I feel like that needs to be the norm. That needs to be reciprocated on both parts, male, female. I feel like that should be what we're striving to do because it's just like if we both pour into each other's cups, our cups ain't never gonna be empty. It's like the same concept. If we both looking out for each other's needs, then our needs are always gonna be met. But we also have to make sure we look out for our own, but not in a selfish way, just in a way that we don't get again lost in the sauce. But I know I get joy from doing my thug thizzle. I know I'm doing my thug
Listen.
thizzle.
Not only do I get joy, I aim. I aim.
It's about I aim to please.
I aim. I'm competitive. So, I'm gonna make sure
Gotta
that you
top
know where
yourself.
it's at. Like you know where it's at, right? But I feel like it's important that we keep that in mind too when we're talking about intimacy with our mates and our partners, is that we should want to care about what their needs are and if
Yeah.
they're being met. And it should be something that we take joy in and we take pride in fulfilling and not leaving our mates to feel like they don't matter because that's not fair. Like I couldn't imagine and don't want to imagine
And we shouldn't
being
want to
in a
be with someone that
relationship
makes us feel like we don't matter.
just at all. Not at all. We definitely should want to make sure that we're asking, we're listening, we're actively listening, and then we're trying to apply that to however we proceed after that and making sure that our mate has what they need because it really is important. I feel like people don't understand. Like people talk about working out at the gym as a stress reliever. They talk about, maybe having a glass of wine as a stress reliever. But my drug of choice, my drug of choice.
Come on, sis.
It's my drug of choice. I want me some hemp. Like I had a rough day. I want to be loved on by my mate, and I want to have that intimacy. I want him to listen to me and cut up. Shoot, one of the things that I loved the other day is that he put me in my place about something, and I was like,
"That's kind of sexy." I ain't gonna lie.
It's like he told me the truth. I like that though. I mean that. I like that. That's intimacy too, in having the safety in knowing that this person, even when I can't see it, has the best interest for me and that he's trying to make sure that he's, actively expressing that and guiding me and showing me, because sometimes if you have an emotional response, you don't see it and you don't always get it. And so just having him be like, all right, now, Sante, like, all right, baby, like, you was wrong with that, okay? I know. Okay, you're right. You're right.
Let me know.
Let me go on and fix that. Let me go on and take care of that. And that to me was intimacy too, because there's a trust factor that comes in that.
And it's hard to tell somebody they wrong.
It could be hard because I know sometimes he'd be like, Lord, she be so extra. But so I love it even more when he's like, I'm gonna tell you the truth. When he know I'm probably gonna be like, cause I'm stubborn. I'm a Taurus.
Same thing.
I'm 100% a Taurus, okay? And I know sometimes I'm a bit much. I'm very opinionated. So I know that in being opinionated, and he's more chill, he really does balance me out. So I so appreciate when he's able to be like, you wrong, guy. You wrong.
You wrong, guy.
I feel some sort of way that I'm telling you wrong, maybe or maybe not, but either way, I'm gonna tell you that you're wrong and you need to fix that. And then
I just need to know, does the I come after?
No, I've been better. I'm better. I've now.
So I'm saying when he says it, well, do he be like, you wrong, right? Like,
no, he just be like, one thing I appreciate about Robert, I'm gonna be honest, is that even when he's telling me he's wrong, he really does try to be sensitive about it. He really do. So he don't just be like, it's not yelling. It's just kind of look. He'll just look over at me. Sometimes he put a little pressure. Sometimes he put a little bass in his voice. He put a little
like a half an octave up.
He put a little bit in there. Sometimes, but sometimes it's just real subtle. But I know he mean business. And so, when he gives me that very subtle but cool, now without saying I'd be like, okay, I don't push. Exactly. I'd be like, yeah, I'm not gonna push him on that one. I'm not. But also, in fairness, there are times when he know my limit on something, and he'll too just be like, okay, I ain't gonna push on that right now, and he respects that I'm feeling a particular way.
But see, that's balance as well.
Exactly.
It has to be balanced in a relationship,
and that makes it a whole lot easier for when he is telling me and he's calling me out on something. It's easier for you to receive it, because then you don't feel like that person's always just caring about their needs. Mm-hmm. They're taking in consideration what you're saying and your opinions and how you feel about something. So it's not always just about how he feels about it. When he allows me to have a moment where I'm like, I'm standing firm on this, like 10 toes to the ground, like this is how I feel and that's it. And if it makes sense and he's like, you know what, I respect this, important to you, and I agree. So that makes it a whole lot easier for when he gives me the with the eyes, that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna shut up now. I'm just gonna sit here. Like, you want me to go get some popcorn? You want to watch a movie?
What we doing?
What we doing? So it's important. But even that is intimacy, because
yes,
it's about having a respect for each other's opinions and needs. I feel safe. He feels safe. Knowing that we cannot agree, but we're going to still consider what's best for each other.
The
All of
respect
that,
part.
the respect part, like all of that
Mhm.
plays a role in it. And we need to really, it's
And
not
even when you
not
talk
enough
about
of it.
sexual intimacy, that builds your sexual intimacy too because you feel safe there. You feel
Yes.
respected there. And when you feel safe and respected, you can give it all. Okay?
Listen, I always feel most in the mood when I have that. I always feel like that. When I have that and I'm getting that safety and I feel like I tell him all the time, when you ain't here doing your grown man stuff, it just be, he was putting my desk together yesterday. I asked, he came in, he got
Ooh, you
some.
ain't asked?
I asked, he came in, he got him some
Monte was
drink.
like, let
He
me
took his
sit
work clothes off. I had to run to
here.
the store. When I was on the way
Oh,
to the
you
store, he was unboxing it. I came back. This joker was put together. I wasn't
that's
gone
good.
long. I wasn't gone long. And the desk
That's
was
good.
right. And I was like, let me get these kids some melatonin. What time is it?
Night night. It's 6 o'clock, mama. Night night. I said.
What
Good
but
night. Lights out.
again, just in doing that, coming in, doing something, taking care of something that I don't have to worry about when he load the dishwasher, he wash the dishes, and I don't have to ask. All of that is intimacy. And I think that
Yes.
to go back to the point of women feeling tired, I think because they're not having their mates understand that that's part of their intimacy factor. I think
That's the
that's a huge
communication that Jada
disconnect.
was talking about.
It is. But I also feel like there are women that are saying that and
Hmm.
still
The same.
not getting it.
I was
Mhm.
one of them. Hmm.
Yes, and still not
Yes.
getting it. So even
Yes.
when, because I don't think that some people, because it may not even just be men, I think some people just don't understand that intimacy and what needs are needing to be met to be, open to intimacy may be different for everybody. So what you may not see as important or pertinent to it, it doesn't mean that it's not to your mate. And so you want to make sure that you're asking, well, if you notice that your wife, or, because I hear this mostly from wives, if you notice that your wife is a whole lot less likely to give you what you need sexually, right? And you like, hey, it's been a minute, what's going
So
on?
you helping her, but you really helping you too.
Maybe it's because that week she's felt like she's had to show up and be everything for everybody, which we talked about last week.
Hmm.
So much so that she running on fumes, and then here you come with your hand out and you want so and so, and she looking at all the other things around the house that has to be accomplished before she goes to bed. Or if she don't get them done, they're gonna wait and greet her in the morning. And so she doesn't necessarily have the will to be with you in that way because she has all of this other stuff she has to worry about. I feel like
That
under
reminds me of the have you seen the meme, not the memes, but like basically the threads where men are like posing, taking pictures and sending them to
yes,
their wife
I
with
love
the
that.
house clean,
Sending my
kids
wife
room
sexy pictures.
clean.
When I started seeing those threads pop up, my soul screamed. I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And men was making jokes about it, but that
Yes.
was serious. Like when you talk to men
Yes.
and women, they be tired. They feel like, especially once kids come along,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Because that's
that
a
they're
whole nother
just,
monster.
that's a whole nother thing. It's like you constantly trying to remember that you matter the more hats and roles that you take on.
Mm-hmm.
So excuse me, y'all. So if they're not, really showing up for you to be intimate with you, ask them, if they maybe they're not comfortable in saying it, or maybe they've already said it and it's just like it ain't gonna change, so I don't care. Maybe asking, because although I agree 100% with Jada that it is your responsibility to communicate, I do think as a person
If you care,
that
you'll
cares
notice
for
some
your
things.
mate, ask sometimes. If you notice something's
Right.
changed and there's a shift, like, hey baby, is there something you need from me that will make this better? Is there something I could do to make you more interested? Was there something I stopped doing that made
Question.
you disinterested? Because that's a factor too. Just in when we've had a struggle, one of the things that Robert admitted was hard for him was that I stopped wanting to go out. I didn't want to go out. I didn't really want to go dating, because it was just like I'm tired. If you want to go out, I gotta try to find a babysitter. Then I gotta get said kids packed. I gotta get said kids to destination. Then I gotta come back. I gotta get dressed. After I've been out running around, taking kids to activities and God knows wherever else. So I really, really, really stopped wanting to go out. And for him, it was like, I still want to date my wife. Like, I still want to go out. I still want to do things. Even though he's a homebody, he also still likes to go out. And for me, it was just like, I'm tired. I don't want to have to go through going out. And a lot of that, which we came to a point and I was expressing to him, once we communicated, because he was expressing, like, I want to go out more. I don't like it that you never want to go out. And then I had to say, okay, well, let me explain to you why. And then I explained to him, like, I have to get a babysitter. So I have to call and see who's going to do it and who's not going to do it. I only let certain people keep my kids. So it's like, okay, I got to ask the certain people that's going to keep the kids if they're able to keep the kids. Then I have to get their bags packed and get them situated to get them over to said person. Come back, get dressed because I'm going to need a shower after doing all of that to go out. And by that time, I'm exhausted. And so when I expressed that, what he started doing was making sure they got their bags together, making sure stuff was, set. So that was one less step that I had to do. Yes. And so then when you communicate, here it was, he asked, he expressed what he needed. He didn't attack, which was one of his big points that he made when we were having this conversation was he feels like also when certain things of needs come up, it's more of attacking your mate. So what you don't do or you don't do this instead of more, I need this and I would like to see such and such and such. And I said, true, because that's something that we try to do when we're communicating on anything is that when we're notice arguments getting heated, it has to go back to not you, but okay, I feel like this, or I'm struggling with understanding this. And when we're doing that, we're able to communicate better and it really de-escalate stuff. So he's like, being sure to just talk about what you need so that you're not attacking the other person matters a whole lot. So what he was saying was just flat out be like, hey, and which is what he did is that I want to go out more. I don't feel like we go out enough. And I want to know what's wrong and why every time I try to get us to go out, you find a reason for not wanting to go out. Okay, you're right. I don't like to go out. And here is why, because I feel that it's stressful trying to get the kids out. And I have trauma from that because when I had 2 babies and I had to get 2 kids out the door and had to do it because we weren't living together in the same spot. And if I had to get them to a doctor's appointment or get them someplace, it was a lot of stress. So I'm still trying to get past that point. So I get triggered when I have to go places. And then he was like, oh, I didn't know it was that serious. Now I'm going to be mindful of that. So now if these kids going somewhere, I come back, he be like, kids, bags back. They ready to go? Where they going?
No, that warms my heart though, because that is so amazing. That's the goal. That's the goal. To be able to sit down and have that honest conversation with your mate and change happens afterwards.
And you gonna still slip and fall into habits sometimes.
Absolutely. So, but it's the effort.
It's the effort and then giving each other the space to get back on the wagon. Like it's gonna happen, and I think that if we both start approaching certain things when communicating, that neither of us are perfect. I feel like we tend to think that we're doing so much better than the other person in relationships at times. That ego. And sometimes we messing up too. And you gotta be willing to be like, okay,
nobody's perfect.
I'm falling short too. And own your stuff where you falling short and make the adjustments when necessary. And I think it's super important that we are doing that so that the intimacy can return and that we can be connecting sexually, because without it, we just we're falling apart. We are bursting at the seams. I just feel like there's so many people walking around just so unfulfilled and so untaken care of, and needs.
I think that's low key in my stats. I feel like that's the majority. Like
it's
of
the
people
majority.
I out here like, God dang, like help me, please.
So, question, sis. Do you always communicate your needs? Are you
No,
finding
no.
so you're struggling and you're still trying to find your balance in communicating your needs?
Yes.
Talk about that. Let's hear from you
So
about you.
I answered that quickly and freely.
I saw it
If
was
you
like
notice, you didn't even
no,
finish your sentence, and
I
I was
didn't.
answering
It
your
was like
questions.
hell's no,
Um,
so
hell
ain't.
no, I don't. And that's and that's because that's something that I have identified that I do or don't do rather, and that is something that I'm actively working on in this part of my life. I've noticed since I was a child, and I've pinpointed back through my life mapping and everything else where it started and how I believe it started in my childhood and why I don't do it today in my adulthood. And now that I consciously know that this is a problem and have had pinpoint places where it has caused problem in my life and in relationships, and left me that unfulfilled person out here.
Mhm.
Um, I know now that I have to do something about it because it's my life, it's my feelings, it's what I want. And I don't want to be unfulfilled for the rest of my life and walking around here miserable, doing everything for everybody, and I end up short. So once I really identified that for me, I knew that I had to shift in my mindset. And so actively now in this phase of my life and this journey, um, hell no, I'm not doing it no more. And then even in times where I catch myself, because like you said, people fall back into habits. Absolutely.
All the time.
I'll fall back into moments where I'm like, yeah, I can do that, or and I'm not really necessarily speaking for what I need, even in subtle things. Like I'll be at work and I know I gotta walk out the door. I know I gotta call, or I know I gotta be somewhere, or I know somebody's waiting on me, and I'll be like, "Oh, okay, I can do that real quick." Or when I know good and doggone well, I gotta go. Or I should have been gone 5 minutes ago. I'm like, yeah, I can just no, I'm not doing it no more. I gotta go. You can
Facts.
email me, and I can think about doing it at home, or I can do it next time I come in. But I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Small things like that, realizing that I do that often. Realize I say yes when I should have been like, dig, nah, I can't even do that. My
We
schedule's
talked
tight.
about that last
We,
show
we did.
because
And
I
being
too
okay with
suffer
the
from that.
no.
Mm-hmm.
And being okay with the no.
Mm-hmm.
And so I those type of things, and definitely when it came to intimacy and relationships, I feel like a large part of that is me not knowing necessarily what I wanted in certain cases, and then me going through phases where I was like, "You just supposed to know," or and if it didn't happen because you were just supposed to know, I ain't even gonna say nothing because it's gonna cause a rift or a problem. You know what I'm saying? So when I say certain things, I'm speaking it because I lived it. You know what I'm saying? Because I said that earlier. I lived it.
It's so funny though. Where in the hell did this expectation come from? That people are supposed to be mind readers. I'm trying to figure that out. Like, because I too
I
have
don't
been
know.
guilty of this, so I'm not throwing shade or, passing judgment at
Again,
anybody.
saying it because it was me, and
You
I know
know,
better now.
where did this idea that the people that love us are
Are
supposed
just
to
supposed
know
to know.
when we
Because we don't just
don't?
know. We
I
don't know things.
So I think this goes back to ego, and I'm gonna be honest because sometimes we we may can tell we know a person so much that we can kind of tell what someone may need or want in that moment, because there are times where I can tell what my children may need. And there are times where I can sense Robert and I can tell, like, okay, he's, maybe I talked to him earlier that day and I heard he was having a stressful day at work. And I'm like, okay, he's going to be having a tough day. Let me throw him some beers in the fridge, make sure he got some for, make sure,
Come on, wife.
his food is, going to be ready. Let me check and see if he need anything if I'm at the store or if I'm shopping. Like, I'll recognize that he likes a particular thing. So I'm like, yeah, he been kind of, stressing lately. Let me make sure he has plenty of this in the house. So if he want it, he can have it. But I think that it becomes like, where does that equate now that he's supposed to be in tune always with what my needs are? And I really try to figure out like who told us that was how it was supposed to be.
I don't know
And
where
how
it
did he
started,
did
but it
it?
needs to go away. Like it needs to go away.
No.
It's exactly what Jada Pinkett Smith was talking about. Nobody can read our minds, and if we don't say it, and that's where I am now again, because I was not that person, and not even just being like, oh, they're supposed to automatically know how I feel, just not feeling comfortable enough in saying it, because of, like I was talking about earlier, that fear of what this person don't think or say or blah blah blah. I don't care anymore. Not saying that I just be hauled off and saying stuff that can hurt people's feelings. I'm not saying that. But my thing is, this either fits or it doesn't. And I'm coming out the gate now being like, this is me. You like it or you don't like it. This is what I expect from a partner. This is what I'm giving. This is, where I'm going or where I'm working to get to. And if none of that aligns, then it was really great knowing you. You have a good one. I'm not allowing certain things that I allowed in the past because honestly, I ain't got the time. And I don't want to waste nobody else's either. And just like we said earlier, I ain't everybody's cup of tea, and everybody is not my cup of tea.
That's
And
it.
so, in that and knowing that, why not just get this out the way early? So, me living in my truth, y'all know I'm 30 now. You know what I'm saying?
Not me though.
living,
Not me. I'm 21.
girl, I'm older than you now. That's
I
crazy.
know. I
That's
know. It's okay. You look
crazy.
good. You look good
Thank
still.
you, girl. Thank you, girl.
Okay.
Okay. But living in my truth and being solidifying myself in my greatness. I'm gonna say that. And that's not cocky, that's not arrogance. That's because I didn't know before. I always knew I was different. I had some talents, I was alright or whatever. But I allowed too much because I wasn't solidified in my greatness. That everybody is great. So I would recommend everybody get solidified in their greatness. Whatever that means for you. But I know that I am great. I know I'm not perfect. I know I still got flaws. I know I got stuff I need to work on. I check myself daily. But I also very much so know that I'm not going to allow the same things I allowed in the past. And I'm checking it at the door because ain't nobody got time for that. Okay. And I check my friends. They get to talk about what somebody did or something like that. I'm like, oh, they don't deserve you.
That's
Why
it.
are you giving them your time?
Why are you giving them your best you?
They don't deserve
Right.
you. Because that's how I'm checking myself and how I'm moving with people in my life at this point. And now they ain't got to take my advice. I'm just, saying whatever I'm saying. It's their life. But I'm saying, I'm going to say it because now I'm saying it for myself and standing in myself. And part of my healing journey is realizing where in my, if y'all know about chakras, where in my chakras I wasn't aligned that I need to work on. And this past year or so, couple years of my life have taught me it was my heart and my throat. And I think I said this on the show once before. And people always, when I say my throat, they like, get the out of here. You be talking. You know.
It's different though. It's sometimes we be talking, but we're not. I was just gonna say that we don't be talking from an authentic place in ourselves. We be talking
not even
on
the
behalf of other
authentic
people.
place. It's I didn't speak up for myself.
But then that's authenticity because when you fail to take care of you, you're not being authentic to yourself. You're not being because that's almost to act as if you don't have needs. We lie to ourselves, and when we do that, our other people's needs come more importantly
Baby,
than ours.
everybody's needs was coming up in front of my
Everybody,
and I was the
and we
last on
also
my
tell
list.
ourselves that being able to fulfill other people's needs and the gratitude they'll give you will fulfill you too. And that's not true. And I think that's why a lot of women give so much and to a point where they find themselves drowning is because that's something
now they living at a deficit. They living at a deficit now. I was living at a deficit. I think I said this on the show in the past too. Like I had to come to a point where I had to realize I gave my joy away. Not saying I'm an unhappy person, but I gave it away because I was given everything, all of me. And I didn't have anything pouring back into me. So I ended up at a deficit. And so now I'm trying to build it back up because I'm still operating, honestly, being 100% transparent, at a deficit. And so I am relearning how to love myself, how to spend time with myself. Oh, I love me, just chilling by my dog on stuff. No,
How
it gives
to
me life.
prioritize
But
yourself.
how to prioritize myself, and what is that for me that makes me genuinely happy. And it's not a person. It probably will never be a person. Even when my husband do find me, I'm gonna be happy with and without him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. I was talking to my Uber driver last night. I'm like, we have to be happy by our damn self. Our mates or our friends or our family or whomever we choose to spend our time with should add to our happiness. But if you're
Listen,
not happy by yourself, then you're gonna be miserable.
I literally just had that conversation with Robert the other day, even stemming off this whole thing with Jada
And
and
she said it on
Will.
the table,
And she
red
put
table
it
talk.
on the table, but I really think that that's super important, and we don't understand that. We place way too much responsibility on our mates to fulfill
Mm-hmm.
certain things that is not their role. It's not their job. Like, we are supposed to be solely responsible for these things, and what our mate does is enhance that. So when they come along, they are supposed to be an additive to already the joy we've managed to seek and find for ourselves. But it's
Mm-hmm.
not their whole responsibility to make us happy. So when we look up and we're so angry, it's because we're putting so much stock and expecting that other person to show up for us in a way we're not even showing up for
And
ourselves.
honestly, we should
We're
be
not
angry with
doing.
ourselves
We should be
because
angry
we
with
because
ourselves.
every time there's somebody, I'm not even gonna say every time. Sometimes it be some tricky situations,
It
but
do.
for the most part, I'm gonna say that. For the most part, when there's somebody in our life that wasn't meant to be in our life, there were signs that they needed to go, and we
Most
ignored it
times when somebody is taking advantage of something, is because we gave them the permission to do so.
because people do what you allow them to do.
And we need to take that accountability. We need to say, like, when this person did so and so, it was because I
I
didn't set
allowed
a
it.
strong enough
I
boundary that
allowed it. And
caused
if we
something to
don't
happen.
do that and take that accountability, then we're gonna fall into the same trap.
All over, because again, we're putting the
Come
responsibility
on,
on their person to know first and
and not
foremost what
checking
we
with self.
need. And then secondly, we're putting that responsibility on that person to be solely responsible for our happiness and our joy, as you put it. And third, we just being lazy because we don't want to have to be responsible for it ourselves. Because I'm like, hell, half the time I can't make myself happy. Like, I just can't. So how am I setting this impossible bar for my mate to make me happy, to be completely in charge of what I need to feel good about myself? It is just so unfair. It's so hypocritical without realizing that it is. And it is so widening the gap in intimacy between the two of us. We are meant to enhance each other's well being, but I am responsible to a great deal about my personal well being and what moves me and what I need to be happy. And I need to make sure that I'm prioritizing that among all of my other responsibilities, because it's just not fair to ask or expect for Robert to be in charge of my happiness. Now, do I want him to add to it and do little things that turn the corners of his mouth up? Sure. Do I expect to do that for him? Absolutely, because I love to see him smile. And even in doing that, that adds to my own happiness, because
Yeah.
I want to feel like I'm making my mate feel happy. I want to feel like I'm fulfilling him. So that's really for me too. Even though you want to, you don't reckon it's for them, of course, because it's gonna make them happy. But because I get joy and fulfillment in seeing my mate be happy and fulfilled, that's for me too. Because I want to take pride in being his partner and being his wife. And so we
Ooh,
need
that
to.
word. That word right there, though,
What I
sis.
do? What
That
I say?
word right there.
What I say? Which word?
Mm.
What, the wife? What?
Pride.
Oh shit! Oh, yeah, yeah.
You take pride
I do.
in caring for your husband and making sure that he's happy.
I do.
And that
I do.
same energy on taking pride and making sure you good and you happy.
And you get a lot of flack in that. I think, and we'll have that conversation too, because patriarchy has just kind of ran amok and just done some things and
Skirt
wreaked
right.
some havoc, right? And so people often, especially because there's a lot of pushback against patriarchy, and I totally agree with it. Like, I'm all for it. But I also think that because there's this real need to set the boundaries on that sometimes women that feel pride in being in certain roles that were traditionally assigned for women is shameful. But I don't take shame in that. I cook, I clean, okay, and
You
I do
start
other
with your big
things,
toe. Put your foot in that food, sis.
you know, and
Make me a veggie plate.
I like to watch Robert eat. I just love to watch the man eat. So much so he complains about his plate because he'd be like, "Baby, I ain't gonna be able to eat all this." I'd be like, "Okay, eat what you can," but I just
Yeah,
like to see him. Just eat what you can, baby. If you can't eat it all, that's okay. We wrap it up, put it in the fridge. You can be leftovers, whatever. But I love to see him eat. Like, even if I'm not going to eat that, one of the things he loved for me to make is mac and cheese. Like when I make baked mac and cheese, he'd be so happy. He'd be like, "You made baked mac and cheese? You made you some baked mac and cheese." Just randomly one day he'll come home and be like, "Baby, I made you a peach cobbler with extra crust. You made me a peach cobbler with extra crust." And he'd be happy, and him going to scoop that cobbler onto the plate makes me happy.
but see, that's intimacy too, sis.
It is. It is.
It's because what it is knowing what your mate likes and then making sure that that's accessible for him, not even when he asks. So I'm gonna put it this way: him fixing that desk and having that desk together by the time you get home is the equivalent of him coming home from work and you having that peach cobbler ready.
Baby, when he just any little thing like that, when it's something that I say needs to be done, and maybe one day I was in here, somebody had made a
Hold on,
comment.
it was the day he came home with the kites for me.
With that was one, because when I say I was in a space, and I had called him like SOS, like, "Hey, I ain't gonna make it. I'm about to explode at work, and I'm gonna be out of a job if something doesn't happen. Like I'm here. Like I'm literally up here,
Past the
and
threshold.
I'm tired of
Over
being
the
in the
threshold.
house, but I gotta be in the house because we're trying to keep the baby safe, and COVID is out here real. I had just had a battle of it myself, and it was scary. So it was like, I really gotta be cautious because we, by the grace of God, didn't pass it along to the baby. So I'm just like, I need to go outside. I feel disconnected from life. I'm a people person. I ain't got no people contact. I need something. And he was just like, "Okay, baby, I hear you." He said, "We'll talk about it when I get home." Now, to me, talk about it when you get home is, him finish out his day and he gonna come strolling in after work. Girl, like 20, 30 minutes later, the key was turning in the door and I was confused. But sometimes he just pop up on me anyway. I said, "You trying to make sure I'm at where I'm supposed to be at? I know what's going on shopping, but I'm at home, boo. I'm at home." But he would just pop up at home anyway sometimes if he could, just to be, see the kids, see how I'm doing, check in, and he'd bounce back out. But he came home, he had all these bags, and he was like, I said, "What you got?" He said, "You done for the work for the day?" I was like, "I am." He's like, "All right, put your shoes on." He went and got them kids, like, "Hey, put some pants on, put some shoes on. We're going, where we going, Daddy? We're going, put your stuff on." And then he had these kites, and I'm telling you, just as simple as flying them kites. I was tired as hell, y'all. I don't know who has flown a kite.
You gotta run. You need some wind behind you.
Let me listen. Like that's a whole workout. Like forget a gym membership. Get your ass a kite. Just get a kite and go to the park and
Ride the
fly
bike.
a kite and a bike. Listen, it was
You get
the workout was real, but we had kites. We had a game here about like rockets where we had to kind of compete to shoot the step on it in a rockets floor. We had a frisbee. We had little toss balls. It was like okay, and we just played at the park. We just played. We just had a ball. I was tired, but I was ready. Like I was ready. I was ready. So all of that stuff
you.
intimacy is like, sometimes your mate is gonna know what you need. Sometimes they're just gonna try and take the initiative to fix or, take a crack
And
at
Lord,
what you
that's
need.
so welcome.
They may try it, but it's still best practice to not expect for them to get it right all the time, and for you to communicate and you to be expressive on what you need, intimacy wise and sexually, and allow your mate the opportunity to provide that for you. And having that healthy communication is what's going to restore and have a very strong intimacy between you and your mate. And it's important, it's needed, and we need to be examples for it so that our babies can grow up and have healthy, intimate relationships when they become adults and they are dating and they are married, if they so choose, or just in life partnerships, and that they know that it's possible and they deserve it. They deserve it. I just so want that for my kids. I'm so glad that, even though they have seen their parents have tough times, if you ask them babies if they mama and daddy love each other, and be like, yeah, because I joke with them. I'll be like, that's my boyfriend. Like, it's your husband. Like, not right now. Sometimes he my boyfriend. Sometimes he my husband. Depends on what he doing right now. He's my
Sometimes he
boyfriend.
my boo thing.
He's my boyfriend. But they know that we love each other. And so they, even though they have seen us have struggles, both of them look forward to having relationships when they're older. Kyron had already got his whole life planned out about his wife and how many children he's going to have and where they're going to live and all of these things. And I'm like, well, that's good because he has a very healthy idea of what he wants when it comes to being in a partnership and a marriage, which was the total opposite from what I wanted because we talked about that on the show. I did not want to get married. I
He had
wasn't
to fight you down.
I wasn't for it. I was like, ain't nobody finna get married. I'm finna just be out here living my best life. I'm finna be traveling. I ain't trying to be tied to nobody. And so knowing that I have helped to paint a better picture, not a perfect one, but a healthier one than what was painted for me, makes me so happy. And I just really want for us to be doing that all the way around because our community needs it. And when we talk about the breakdown of the family structure and the breakdown of relatability to each other and how we're not loving each other, we're fighting all the time, we're divided all the time. Intimacy isn't always romantic. Intimacy is what Natalie said. It's a trust, it's a respect for each other. So even if you're not in a romantic relationship with somebody, you want to have, and sometimes you have intimacy with your best friends.
Yeah,
Sometimes you
for
have
sure.
intimacy with your family members. Sometimes you have intimacy with yourself. So you really need to be having healthy intimacy all the way around. It's not just about who you're dating and who you're having sex with. It's also about who is in your environment and that you're having a safe place to be with those people. And so it's just so much more. And we gotta fix it. We gotta break that curse, y'all, because I wanna see us connected. Even not just about marriage, but we just don't love each other as a community. And that's the whole reason there is We Gonna Talk, is because I'm trying to build that bridge. Like, I love you, Nat. I love you, sis. And we just gotta fix it. Nigga, we gotta come back to it. We gotta figure it out. We gotta see how we can get back on one accord. So before we head out, because we are approaching the 10 p.m., this was a good talk. And hopefully
Wait,
there'll be
right quick.
because I do want this sex
I
therapy.
reached out to her. I'm gonna call her too after we get off the line. I'm gonna be like, hey,
I
I
will
sent you a
keep
message.
y'all posted. And if we don't have that talk, trust me, I have another one lined up already for next week. That's gonna
Cause
be some
we gonna talk.
yes, we is. Sis, closing thoughts on communicating intimacy and sexuality.
Man, one, sexuality is a beautiful thing. It can be a beautiful thing if you are in a safe space to express yourself and own who you are, own your body and your needs. Very beautiful thing. And so is intimacy. And intimacy, and the difference between intimacy and sexuality, is that intimacy is opening your heart, your mind, your spirit, the closet doors. You're opening yourself up to someone, and it doesn't just have to be your romantic partner. You can be intimate with your mother, your friend, your sister, your brother, your cousins, whomever. And both are very important. But intimacy with a sexual partner is critical is critical because of all the reasons why we spoke, things that we spoke on today about being able to truly understand each other, to be able to support each other in the area where you need support, which builds safety, which breeds respect, which breeds love, which breeds let me sing this now.
I'm gonna need you to go ahead and turn out an album, girl.
Oh, you okay? So I think intimacy is super important, and it goes hand in hand with sexuality. Because for me, if I can't be intimate with you, if you can't unlock my mind, if you can't unlock my spirit, then you can't unlock my body. Just being 100% honest. So for me, they go hand in hand, and they're both beautiful individually, but together, ooh, baby, it's magic.
I'm gonna need that to be on the shirt though. If you can't unlock my mind, you can't unlock my spirit, you can't unlock my body. That is a shirt. Pretty much. Coming to you soon from the Oh We Gonna Talk collection.
Yeah, Oh We Gonna Talk collection. Come on.
Coming soon. Coming soon.
Come on. Come on.
I got one last closing thought that we gonna get off here.
Okay.
Y'all leave Jada alone, damn it. I'm sick of this.
Please leave her alone. She was speaking all facts. Y'all need to heal.
Listen, she was saying facts, and I really implore some of you people to sit down and talk to your mates, because you never know what they thinking about y'all situation. So sweep your own porch before you start talking about the dust on somebody else's. That's what I want y'all to do. And leave Jada alone.
I will watch that.
If Will was really hard pressed, that man could be gone
easily.
If he really wanted to, if he was feeling some sort of way, he wouldn't leave. He has the means to leave. If he's still there, that is their business. That means that they have committed in whatever way is best for them. Can we worry about this?
What's that little baby say? Worry about yourself.
Turn around and worry about yourself. Just
worry about yourself.
Turn around and drive. Turn around and drive your life, y'all. And worry about yourself.
Stop trying. You ain't even backseat driving. They don't even know you exist, and you trying to drive their car.
And she didn't even say that. Like, you know, real talk. I was so hurt. I was like, Lord. And then somebody had a post circulating around about the comprehension levels of most of adult Americans. And I was like, it is so on point. I mean,
they couldn't comprehend what
they just, I said,
because trying to bless their lives, and they just missed it.
I mean, she said all facts, and some of y'all be running around here hollering about women don't take no accountability. The lady was doing that.
She was taking all the accountability.
She was doing that, y'all.
All of it.
Oh, like, just get off, Jada. Just leave her alone. Leave her alone.
Get y'all lives.
Get y'all lives. Sweep your porch. Sweep your porch.
Power wash your porch. You got some deep cleaning to do.
You said power wash?
Power wash the porch.
Since they can't, you don't sweep, just
power go.
Wash. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, you know, power wash the porch. That coming from the Oh We Gonna Talk collection. Power wash your porch.
Power wash your porch. Power wash it. Broom ain't good enough.
Wash your porch, because you can't. We gonna get out of here, y'all. We love y'all. Stay tuned for next week's discussion. I'm so glad y'all be sticking with us and hanging out. Please share them, y'all. Like, if y'all,
I love it. I was seeing all types of shares coming through. I appreciate y'all.
Keep the sharing up. We appreciate it. We definitely out here trying to break these curses, and we can do that together. If you just push the share button, it's public. It's no reason why you can't share. Share a link. Share a post, share some thoughts, but share.
Don't keep all this greatness to yourself.
All this greatness to yourself. And if you are a Black business that we can highlight, please let us know so that we can post that and we can give that information, because we want you to be. Oh, what you got there, sis? But I can't see it.
I know you can't see it. It's super small. I know you can't see it. But this is Miss Karen, okay, Miss Karen Triplett. All right, hold on. Let me get y'all together.
Y'all see these earrings? Yes, I noticed the earrings.
See, hold on.
I love the earrings. So I'm gonna need you to definitely give me the info, because I definitely saw, I peeped the earrings. I peeped them and I'm gonna need them.
Yes.
So
This is Miss
definitely
Karen
share the info
Triplett.
on Miss Karen Triplett.
So
And
she's in the brand new art space and art collective space on 71st Street in South Shore. I will share her information, but Miss Karen Triplett, phone number 773-633-2800. She not only makes earrings, but necklaces, crystal jewelry, wrap jewelry. She's an artist, so she has paintings and mosaics, and she makes these amazing wire flowers. She's just super dope, and she's been a supporter of mine. I've been a supporter of hers for years, and so we just got back in touch, and she gifted me these amazing, beautiful earrings, and I'm like, oh, girl, I'm gonna tell the world because these are fire.
they are,
And they super lightweight. They not heavy at all. I'll be forgetting they
but
name.
even though they lightweight, they still dangle. They not getting stuck. Like they hang perfectly. I love it. I love it. So definitely, I'm gonna need the info because I'm asking for myself. I'm asking for the people.
Artisan Collective on 71st and South Shore. Okay. Y'all make sure y'all check
it out now, because our Gino has posted our Miss Renee's hypnosis company, or if you need hypnotherapy, please reach out to her. I have not made my appointment yet, but I fully intend to go because your girl is trying to elevate, and so I need to kind of take things to the next level in my healing journey. But if you're interested in the benefits of hypnotherapy, look, see, I'm tired. I ain't had really much coffee today too, and so I'm just
not the coffee. You crack
over the words. I'm clumsy anyway, but I'm tripping over my words. But if you're interested in hypnosis and how it can be therapeutic for you, please hit the link in the comments. Go visit Miss Renee's site. She's on point. She's been on the show. So if you also want to hear more about her talking about her business, it's on the web show page. We Gonna Talk on Facebook, and also on YouTube, on Twitch as well. And so you can definitely go back and look at past episodes to learn more about hypnosis and how beneficial it can be in your healing process and your healing journeys, because it's real, y'all. So we need to be opening up all avenues to get
and
that.
if we're talking about intimacy and we talked about older couples and the lack thereof, we got to shout out Gino and Miss Renee, because Miss Gino okay, they are coaches. So if y'all need help in your relationship, go talk to them. Okay, I love their relationship. I love how they love
just
each
love
other.
them. I just love them. I'm telling you, on a personal note, 2020 was weird as hell, but the people that came into my life was the silver lining. I met my sis, Miss Natalie B, in a pandemic. Sad thing is, you would think we've known each other like all our lives. Okay, it's just when you meet people and your spirit is just aligned, you just be like, oh, you were meant to be in this world with me.
Y'all know we ain't never met in person.
Ain't never met in person, y'all. We haven't met in person yet.
I feel like that's a lie. Like, I know it's true, but I feel like that's a lie. I feel like
it's a lie because we hang up from y'all, but we don't get off. We be on here like
we be talking for 3 hours later after we get off the show.
It's just, that's the silver lining. I really have been able to be amazingly blessed from the Most High to have all of these amazing people come into my world in the face of a huge pandemic, right? But it forced us to be in spaces we probably normally wouldn't be in, to make those connections. And I'm getting aligned with where I need to be at and who I need to be in that circle with. So when I say that I love me some Mr. Gino Milton and Mrs. Renee,
33 years. Come on, 33. Y'all got an anniversary coming up.
Oh my gosh, they got the same anniversary as my parents, November 18th. Yes. See, look, I just love me some them. Gino just knows how I appreciate his constant and consistent encouragement, because
he's amazing. Gino, you're amazing.
Gino be like, you better not quit. You better not quit. I look forward to Wednesdays and my we gonna talk. We gonna talk. We better be talking on Wednesday.
We better be talking on Wednesday. We better be talking.
And I appreciate him so much for that. I don't think he knows just how much I just love
Gino
on.
said he thought we knew each other from school or something. He like,
Look,
wow.
listen, Gino, it's only been a
We go back.
year.
We've been knowing each other since pre-K, Gino. We
Look,
go way back.
it's been a past lifetime. I think that's what it is. It's
Yes,
been a
I
past
guess I knew
lifetime.
you
It
next
have to be. Listen, because you would think we've known each other forever, but I met Nat, and it was just kind of like, and
linkage.
and the rest is why we here. And now the woman is a whole mess because I told her about a plan that we was thinking about.
I'll
And
say less.
I got
I
I
got
got
my journals together over here.
I got you
Okay,
covered.
I'm
So,
ready.
and it's just a completely amazing thing to just be so surrounded by such amazing people. And I just appreciate y'all all, including our viewers that show up
We
and
love
that's been showing up. Like, thank y'all, because y'all don't gotta listen to us, but y'all come and listen to us anyway. So just thank y'all for doing that. And y'all bust back next week too now. Okay, we thanking y'all, but we not saying don't
come
come back.
back. This ain't
Come
a
back.
goodbye. This is just thank you. We gonna thank you every week because we love y'all.
This is see you next week, and then bring more people with you.
Right. Share, like,
You need more
subscribe,
people.
and share, follow.
We need more people. Okay, follow us on.
Because we a family, so we need more people in the we gonna talk family, so we can all be intimate and communicate with one another.
And I want y'all to be able to come on here and share your thoughts and talk about breaking your generational curses, because all of us is trying to do better by something. And so it's not just about our generational curses, but I want to hear from y'all. So if you even interested in coming on and talking about it, or I've been getting them requests, so keep bringing them requests. I've been getting them requests to talk about
Appreciate
stuff. I
y'all.
love it. So if you have a particular thing that you want to be highlighted on the show, feel free to reach out, send us an email, send us a chat. You can email us at ohwegonnatalk@gmail.com as well. Or you can just instant message the page or us privately, and we'll be happy to consider that topic and invite you on to have that conversation. So don't forget about us, okay? We want to hear from y'all. But we're gonna hop up off here, y'all, because it is Wednesday.
Oh, this gonna be my announcement. I'm just letting you know now, sis.
Go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
If you get tired of me, I'm sorry, not sorry, but I'm using my throat chakra to speak up for what I need. And what I need is for y'all to go to wehealheal.org and get y'all tickets to the Healing Gala, which will be at Art in Motion on December 11th in South Shore at 6 p.m. We will have art auctions, silent auctions, live music performances, DJ, food by Purple Ribbon Chef, drinks on deck, all included in your ticket price. And all funds go to the Healing Academy to support us one day having our own building and location for community centers and schools. And it will continue across Chicago, nationally and internationally, because you come into the gala and you go get them first coins for us to do this work. So December 11th, Healing Gala. Go to wehealheal.org because we heal for real, okay? Wehealheal.org. Follow us on all the pages and everything to get updated information. But get your gala tickets. It is only 100 tickets. And when them tickets are gone, don't call me, y'all. I love you. I ain't saying I don't love you. I love you.
We be good for waiting for the last minute to do some stuff.
Y'all better get them now. It's only 100 tickets, y'all. And we got 20-something artists. So
thanks. Definitely reach out. We will be sharing info on all of these things, so be looking out for them. And we'll see y'all next week, y'all. Same bad time, same bad channel. Y'all leave Jada alone. I said leave her alone now.
Heal.
Leave
Work
her
on
alone.
yourself. Worry about yourself.
Turn around. Worry about yourself. Sweep. Power wash.